Well, hello everybody, this is a new podcast. So new it doesn't actually have a name yet, although it probably will when it's uploaded. I'm Chris,
I'm Steven.
I'm Roberto.
and we'll be talking about a lot of random things. But we're three friends, at least for right now, while one is gone from California. And yeah, the podcast will be a bit broad, a bit more topic-based podcast to podcast, and hopefully that'll just be represented in the title, I bet. I guess we can talk about the first topic because it relates a lot to trying to set all this up in the first place. For society, being a techie, at one point had an image of just being a person who maybe had a workshop with like a soldering iron, but mostly was in a dark room with a computer and one screen. But now a techie is someone that has RGB everywhere, all over the room, multiple monitor devices, multiple computers, and has probably more, as the lights are going crazy, more tech than their energy can actually even handle in their room. So is being a techie now become almost too expensive for the average person to kind of breach and get into?
I don't think so, just because there's so many knockoffs that actually do work pretty well. You know, you got the Philips Hue that costs hundreds, but then you got like I have Casa brand stuff, which is $40 for a light bulb and RGB strips and stuff. So
yeah. Or even Govee, which is what I have. I had to look that up real fast what the name of it was.
For the interactive lights on your monitors and stuff.
It just seems difficult. It's like when even getting some of the stuff for this or like the new laptop, it seems like there is a stranglehold on money of like when you build your own laptop or you're thinking of dropping things everywhere. If you're I guess this is audio, we have to say stuff. Steven drops pen and stuff. If you're trying to get into it and like be showy about it, like you can't really. I guess maybe it's hard to leapfrog. Like it's expensive to become like from not a techie into like a high end techie.
Yeah.
To sit there, because I think even now, like when you watch videos, I didn't realize that almost everyone has moved to just water cooling systems. Like I didn't realize that was like a norm almost, and not even just water cooled, RGB water cooled. So there's lights throughout it. RAM has RGB on the ends of it.
You got PCs with monitors on the inside of the PC showing graphics and whatnot.
Yeah, with screens, hidden on the inside that you can barely see. And yeah, now that's why everyone's desktop case is also glass.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about the PC world getting like a high-end PC and all those parts, those get really expensive.
Because you are like, for Gerardo, since you are more on the outskirts, to this point, it's like Steven probably knows the most for tech stuff. I would know mid, and then you'd probably know at least at this point. And it's like, it was daunting as hell for me even to get some of the knowledge for me to pick this. And even when I was picking my new laptop, which was Razer Blade 15, I mean, there were the amount of comments from people on other sites that were just kind of attacking it for having like one small problem or like not like two less RAM than they wanted, basically. It ended up becoming like a competitive action on just the number for the hardware, to the point where it was even so competitive to get a laptop, that one that I wanted to think was good. It was like when I was reading what other people were putting out, it was like none of them are good. It's like everyone just hates another laptop for a different reason. And then it became even hard to judge what the hell to buy. So then it's like, you keep talking like, would you even try to build a laptop or a computer? Or would you just try to buy one if you're gonna get into it?
If I were to build one, I'd have to have Steven help me because I would have no idea what the hell I'm getting. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah,
you know, I want one, but I just have no idea like how to build one. What is this? I mean, what's that? What is the difference between this and that? Yeah. I have no idea. Like I would have to just buy one pre-built already.
No, yeah, that's what I did.
It's not a bad option.
Yeah, no, and I mean some of it. I mean, most people, it's like crap. I did programming, right? Like I did C++ and Python programming. I couldn't have actually told you what all the parts in a computer were. I had taken apart a computer and put it back together, and I still actually couldn't tell you what some of the parts did. I just knew where to connect them. And it's like, even being in a computer world is like different than being a techie.
Yeah, but it's not hard once you got YouTube and Google, and you can search everywhere. I mean, you watch a lot of Linus Tech Tips, and he actually goes through building PCs on multiple videos, I believe.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't want to just say hundreds immediately, but I would imagine, yeah, hundreds. I mean, he builds them even. There was a video I just watched recently, actually, where he builds a gaming PC or ultra game PC with his wife. And she's built minor PCs and she's lived around him. So she's kind of in the world or in the discussion, I guess, all the time.
Yeah.
But she doesn't really know what she's doing. And so it was even interesting just to see him, like, he had all the parts for her and bought all the parts in the box that they came with. But as long as there's an instruction on the box of how to, because they don't know what kind of motherboard you have or something like that. Like maybe on the motherboard there's instructions of what core or what thing goes where, like maybe on that part. But on the rest, it's not like it tells you. So then you kind of just winging it unless you look videos, I guess, up. Which is why I was looking up so many Linus Tech Tip videos or whatever, which is a good site or a good
content creator.
Yeah, a good creator. Yeah, and they're like whole $5,000 Intel upgrades. I wish that could happen.
Yeah, you also have multiple sites where you buy your PC parts where they will actually tell you
if they're compatible.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
you want to make sure when you're buying your parts that you have a case that's compatible with your motherboard that can fit everything you need.
Like, I don't even know what some phrases are, right? Like overclocking. Like, I heard, like, that's something he talks about a lot, where he's like, oh, this CPU, I don't know the CPU, honestly. But he was like, oh, this thing. He's like, can't overclock, so you don't need to worry about it. Or he'd be like, or this one, actually, with the motherboard, and this way it can do overclocking. I'm like, okay, does that just mean, like, overpowering it, like the safety's off, I'm guessing? Like, I couldn't really tell.
I mean, I wouldn't know a lot about it either.
Yeah, so, like, there's some phrasing where it's like, you even need, as it got more complex being a techie, it's like the vocab changes too, which does make it a little bit difficult. Where it's like, you know, I did even the things that I did here, and like I got crap talked all the time for like my Ultrabook that I had when I walked in, which at the time Ultrabooks meant what they were supposed to mean, which was a tablet that was connected to a keyboard that you could disconnect, but it had the power of a full-fledged laptop. So it was an Ultra. It had everything.
More portable.
Yeah, it was like an everything laptop, everything you needed. But now Ultrabooks are just really powerful laptops. And even with that, like I had this nice new line fucking Ultrabook thing, and I still got crap talked for it. And it's like even looking back now, I still don't even think the vocab they were using then to crap talk my hardware would be the stuff they were saying now.
Yeah, it's something you definitely have to keep up with, especially since you have more and more companies come out with newer and better.
But yeah, no, it just seems like these days, like a techie, the image, the stereotyped image for a techie has changed to something that's just so much, at least more work, it seems like. Like even, I mean, it's been forever since I've seen your setup at all, same with yours. But it's like, you guys will see mine, it's like, mine is a lackluster techie set mixed with a librarian, because I really like reading. But it's like, and even that it's like cost me in my head right now if I added it all up. It's like hundreds of dollars. And then if you add the laptops in, and I mean, I don't even know because it's your microphone we're using. And it's like, I mean, then it's like thousands of dollars now that are being attached to this. I mean, even just for the ability to have a semi-casual podcast that you hope a couple people will listen to and maybe get a laugh of.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays, like a decent PC will run you $2,000 higher. It's kind of nuts. Yeah, like I have, compared to PCs I see online and all that, my PC is pretty shit. You know, it's a couple of years old. Well, I would say like 5-6 years old now.
I mean, when I tested my old one, which is still hidden in the room somewhere, versus just the CPU and the graphics card, I put them against my new Razer one, but when it just did the rankings over out of like 400 different CPUs and like 400 graphics card, my old laptop was ranked, I think, like 300 and something, like on both of them. It's like my system was so old. It's like the rate, like I was going back 2006 CPUs, like, and that wasn't even that old of a laptop. It was like a 2005 laptop, but it wasn't like a 2006. But it was getting ranked almost close to some 2006 like CPUs that were made really well, and it's like,
yeah, it's hard to keep up with new and better parts. Especially with how expensive it gets every year.
Or how shifty things can be. I don't know how much we're going to cuss on this yet. But yeah, how shifty this is all going to be. Like like we were just talking earlier with China cracking down on Bitcoin mining in what I think is in their entire country, but at least is in huge warehouses and such, like this bigger chain kind of Bitcoin mining groups. And it's like that's creating this huge surge in sales for computing parts. But then that's also creating a surge in people who are just going to try and scam you by taking a picture or putting the box up, like people used to do for like Xboxes and things. They'd be like the Xbox Series X box, and they would sell it to you for like $600, and you buy it unwittingly. And it's like they're kind of doing the same thing now. So now the prices are going down to start for people to build their own PCs if they wanted. But now there's more scam people because the market's getting flooded.
Yeah. It's hard to tell. That's why I would wait until they start going back to regular retailers and whatnot.
I think it just seems kind of odd. Being a techie, right? That's not even. It's hard to even say what that is as much now because almost everyone uses technology all day.
Yeah.
And a lot of people use smart technology all day. Stuff that can keep sync with habits and guess and stuff. Like I use my light system is synced up to guess my habits over time, and it took it a week to figure out that I normally went to bed at like 10 p.m. and now it's a little bit annoying, and I'll be at 10, the lights turn off, and I'm like, I'm still awake.
Yeah.
But it's like even day-to-day stuff. I think a lot of people end up using it more than they think they do. Like even my parents, who are in their 60s, are like their shopping list is not a written list anymore. It's on the Amazon Echo thing that we have down there.
Yeah.
And they don't even use, they did during COVID, and they do, I guess, right now. But before, that was just the list. It's not like they use that as the way to shop. They weren't like using Amazon shopping all the time. It was just a list that they had.
Yeah. A lot of people do use that Amazon shopping where you buy the same thing every week automatically and you don't even have to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't done that yet. Admittedly.
I mean, it's definitely something I want to take advantage of, but I haven't really looked into too much.
Maybe I know more people that picked. Well, enough to talk about mentioning other podcasts in this that did the Gavin route in Rooster Teeth of where they bought bulk, where they moved into a new house and they had like an extra space or room, and they used that to buy like a ton of extra toilet paper and like printer paper and like all this crap that they just like that doesn't deteriorate. So they got like honey in there and like all this stuff, and it's like. I have a friend, like my nursing friend, who's in Washington now. It's like he has more stuff stored than I would imagine most. I mean, he has roommates and stuff too, but it's like I know more people that are doing that than the Amazon reoccurring shopping, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just a COVID thing, though.
Yeah.
Everyone was stocking up on everything they could.
Yeah. I mean, in the beginning, toilet paper, all kinds of paper really were running out everywhere.
Why do the discussions of COVID times just sound like Great Depression? Like, oh, they have those weird habits. Like, they just stacked all that in toilet paper.
It was really a drastic change from the norm.
I was okay with it.
I mean, yeah.
I changed better than most, I think. I'm a bit of a robot, admittedly.
Yeah, I didn't mind staying inside that much. I have my PC. I was just gaming most of the time.
I got a lot of writings done. I mean, you were probably the one the most affected out of us. I mean, other than... if anyone listens to this, there is supposed to be a fourth person, Josh, who also was working more this time, probably affected. But out of us three, you're the most affected out of like the COVID times. One, just because you couldn't work for part of it, and then two, because you were forced to do extremely hot, like garages and stuff, like with masks on and gloves and more.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking hot. Wearing a mask, it's hard to breathe. Gloves, for me, I sweat a lot on my hands. With gloves, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, it just makes it that much worse.
I take off the gloves, and it's literally like
slings off.
Sweat slings off my gloves. It's just it's disgusting.
Yeah,
but it's the nature of working at a car dealer.
Yeah, and especially one in tight cities. If you're in the middle of nowhere, Idaho, for instance, like one of our friends Mitchell is, then there probably would have been land enough for you guys to drive the car or move the car out into open areas where you just could have had the masks off because we would have been far away from each other and stuff. But we're in tight cities here.
Yeah, and where I'm in it's in the hills, kind of basically. It's dry hills, so it's even extremely hot. There's no wind. And
if there is, it's probably dry wind.
It's just dry. Yeah, exactly. It's actually just dry wind, and it's horrible. It's not great.
You're closer to where all the SoCal fires start.
Oh, don't even start about the fires. Literally, we're right behind the fires, just staring into the sky where it just turns black, make a little smoke. and we don't even get sent home. We just keep working.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's not even here yet. You guys keep working.
Yeah. Just a little bit of ash.
Just a little bit of
fine.
ash. It's all right. You guys aren't dying yet.
You're not dead yet.
You're not dead yet.
No, that's how it felt for, funny enough, my college time was like a Harry Potter thing. It's like every year we had problems. We had like pouring rain at one point, it closed it. We had a fire that closed it. Like high winds and crap. We had buildings that needed construction and closing areas. But during the fires, it was the Tubbs fire. Can't remember why it was called Tubbs. I think it was like the farm it started at or something. Or the region, but it got huge, and it was Sonoma sits on farmland right by like a valley, and then if you take it in, it's like Napa Valley or whatever, you know. So it's like we're right on the outskirts of valley, but before it gets to beach line. So we are kind of in dry farmland, just like in the middle, and it was just cresting over the valley, and our school was like butt up against like that hill, and the entire time, luckily, I was living off campus, like a block away, but still right there. And the school was telling people it was funny to get emails over and over again going, oh, no, we're not telling you, it's not mandatory evacuation, but if you're still on campus, you have to come to the library. Or like, no, it's not mandatory evacuation, but we're closing the school down and all the dorms, so you should go home because there's nowhere to stay. It's not mandatory evacuation because we're not really in danger and have to burn quite a bit, but the air quality is terrible, so we're going to say that everyone should stay inside, so if you are still somehow staying here, you can't go outside.
You're on lockdown.
Yeah, it's like okay, so force everyone to leave and make it terrible if they don't leave, so they leave.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, you just didn't want to admit. There had to have been some. I'm sure there's some monetary tax system or something, and we just weren't close enough, and they didn't want to do an evacuation for like a week or something if there was like a mandatory time period or whatever for danger. Yeah. I have no idea what their ideas were. But it was so interesting to watch. I got the hell out of there. I drove down to East Bay where Bella was and just stayed at her aunt's and stuff.
Yeah.
The smoke, God, cleaning the place up was awful after. Because we had a fireplace, even though it was like defunct, and it had like a bad kind of pellet stove in quotes, which just meant it would drop a couple pellets like it was kind of rabbit pooing. Yeah, and burning stuff. And all the smoke just fumed it though. Oh, and it just like came through, yeah, and then like all the windows were just covered in smoke because you couldn't see anything. By the time I left, it was like 2 car lengths of visibility. Was like the area, like in the smoke, because it was just sweeping down. It's like we're north of the bay, so all the air comes into the bay and it hits the valleys and then it sweeps back down into the ocean fire. So we're the sweep back down, and so the air was just hitting all the fire and then funneling it at us. And so the smoke was just pounding us, and it was like, all right, I'm out. It's like I need to leave.
Yeah, can't stay in those conditions for long.
No, it was crazy. It's not even half it got. I don't know, the pipes broke in my house. I had to shower with a hose in the backyard for like a month. Yeah, as I said, we had raiding to flood the school. That was great because that closed down the school for part of it in a way that helped me out for parties that I was supposed to have repercussions for. That's just college luck. But yeah, no, the fires are ridiculous, especially in like a valley area like we have, and SoCal just kind of attracts them. Oh god, one of the things that I just bought. So you guys know I was on for any listeners again, I really like to cook, and I was on like a pepper like kick, and I kept buying all these peppers. So I kept trying to find this salt, this rare salt. It's gonna be like, you remember that Code Name Kids Next Door episode where they go for that ice cream? It's like golden ice cream.
Oh yeah.
It's like the flavor
of like the gods and stuff. Yeah, they like don't really know, and like they don't even say what flavor it is at the end. It's just like number 5, whatever the chick is, and she just gets to taste it. It's amazing. There's a salt from Persia, is its main source, at least the only one I know, and it's blue. It's blue Persian salt, and they say it has almost like a citrusy finish to it or something. But it's really rare. I don't know how it's mined, if I'm going to be honest. This has to be mined. It's not a sea salt. It's a mining salt. I don't know if it uses immoral things, like that. But it's rare for some reason for it to be sold, at least outside of the Eurasia area. Like, I could find UK sellers, but they wouldn't ship it to US or to Canada or to anywhere. Which was annoying because I was trying by like messaging people on like Etsy who had like other salts, and I was like, oh, what if I send this to you? But they wouldn't send it to them. So I was having lots of problems getting the stupid blue salt. And I finally got this like blue salt. Oh, let me see if I can find a picture real quick. I don't know if I have it. I finally got this blue salt. It's the blue rock.
Okay.
The blue salt. So it's in just raw form, but I don't know why necessarily it's rare, because it doesn't seem like it's scarce.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I don't know what makes it rare, if it's like a trading thing, since I've been getting into so many little rare foods and stuff, from like finger limes to alpine strawberries, just anything weird that I can grab my hands on. There are some things that are just restricted country to country for sale on, whether it's because they use practices that are immoral, like child things or slavery things or something, or they're worried about pesticides, and they're like parasites and insects and stuff. Like citrus can be hard to send around, which has caused me a lot of problems. So I haven't been able to find this blue salt for some reason. I don't know why, and I finally got this damn blue salt. And it's cost me that little jar, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be like this big. But that thing cost me in total with shipping, I think, like $50.
Oh my.
Jeez.
Just for salt.
And it's like 4 blocks, right? It's what is the thing? So it's normally $20. So I paid like $30 on like shipping. And I think if I remember correctly, it's like Hawaiian red salt, which is funny because that means they had to get the salt from Hawaii, ship it to Europe, and then put it in this jar with my Persian blue salt, and then ship it back to me. Seems really stupid to me, but this company, Riv Salt. I hope they're not a terribly horrific company when I search them up later. But they have one of these jars. It's just the blue salt, but again, they won't sell that to anyone outside like the UK. And they're like one of the only easy European sellers I could find that would pop up when I was searching for it, at least when I was searching for it in the US. I don't know if I went and used like my VPN and popped myself in the UK or whatever, if more things pop up, or if I was in other areas. Probably should have tried that out actually now that I think about it. But I finally got my hand on it. It took me like 2 or 3 goddamn years. And it's all because I saw it, I think, on like a Chopped episode. I don't even remember where I saw this blue salt first.
It's just been that long.
It's just been a hunt now. It's like the finger limes. I don't remember where I saw these Australian finger limes the first time. I just saw them and I was like, I need to try those. And then it took me forever to find like a vendor who ended up having a bunch to sell locally, and the person ended up being in my city. And then I got a pack of them, and then I liked them so much that I ended up having to find someone to sell a plant, but there's some form of restrictions on that, or licensing or something, so it's very hard to find. And the person I found was in like Oregon, which was not great from shipping a plant interstate when it was great. I mean, they came back alive, but it was just the plant with the roots like visible out of the soil, just in the thing, just taped to a stick and sent to me. It's like there's a reason like a lot of people can't grow a lot of other plants from other countries. They die on the trip. It's like they just end up dead. Like right now I'm still trying to grow alpine strawberries out there from seed that haven't greened yet. I haven't seen any sprouts from them. It's been like a week and a half.
Is there anything special about the salt other than the color though?
So let's see. So there is, I mean, yeah, so there is a chemical difference for it, and I'm pretty sure there is like I don't know if there's like a cultural connotation to it. Persian blue salt, unlike sea salt, Persian blue salt is a salt fossil or gem whose crystal was formed 100 million years ago in the Precambrian seas. This sapphire blue salt, there's a lot of S's in here, I'm sorry, formed as inland seas and lakes evaporated. So it's like, they're normally pink and the blue color is extremely rare. So it is a evaporated lake sea salt that had a concentration of other minerals that caused a blue hue, and apparently a lighter, sharper, almost citrus-like flavor. Not citrus flavor, but citrus-like in the way it's like
Interesting.
Sharp or something. I don't know. I've tried red Aliyah salt, which is a Hawaiian salt. It's actually normally used for blessing things. It's probably a better word for it. But yeah, like fish and other like nice ceremonies, they use the red Aliyah salt. Which is also just salt that's really good for you, because they kept all the clay and all the minerals still on it instead of the really clear white salt that we have where they remove all of it. And it's like just the pure thing. So it's like normally the salts I try to use are a little bit less pure.
Okay.
And so this is one that like kind of naturally almost is packed with a ton of other things that gives us this crazy blue. So it's a little bit better for you necessarily, but it also is really clear and gem-like.
It's almost too cool to look at to eat.
I know. I don't know if I'm going to. And I think
especially after this long hunt.
And the other thing is it's like bougie, like because it's like rocks. For audio listeners, I showed them like a little cylinder that had like 5 salt rocks in it, and they're like, I don't know, a couple pebbles worth sized rocks. But you have to like scrape it on this like salt scraper, which kind of looks like a flat like a dish or scooper, but it has like little teeth that are kind of raised up when it goes down it, and like it goes so you can like slide it on it and it breaks apart the rock. Gotcha. And I don't actually have that, so I couldn't even really use this yet.
Well, isn't it kind of like a file?
Yeah, like if I had a metal file, I don't think I have one. Like there'll be a way. I mean, I'll figure it out. Of course, I'll use like at least maybe a fine grater. We'll see, or I'll use a little mallet, and crunch a little bit of it, and then I'll put it because I have more in pestle, and I love using that to make spices and stuff. So at the very least, I'll break a little bit off or something. Yeah, and then just do that. But yeah, so that'll come at some point. I'm really excited for that. But that was like years for salt.
Basically, your hunt for Moby Dick.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's salt, which makes it so sad. It wasn't moving or going anywhere. I guess more relevant for the time is the Indiana Jones movie. I guess there's rumors that since Harrison Ford is injured, there were people taking pictures of when they were filming, and it looks like they're using a stunt double, but it wasn't for like action scenes. It ended up being for like talking dialogue random. And then I guess when some people, insiders, were asked or whatever, they talked about how they're going to try, because Harrison Ford's injury is more extensive than they thought originally, they're going to try and CGI him onto this younger person.
Oh god, that'd be interesting.
Which is like the thing that everyone was afraid they'd do. I think everyone's even afraid they would just CGI him to make him look younger, but now they're going to put him on a whole different person.
Oh god.
It's another Paul Walker situation.
I didn't even watch that. Did it work?
It was just not that great.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, they used his brother because he's got his likeness, like his facial features.
Right.
But, I mean, it's still, you could tell that's not perfect.
No, yeah. So, I mean, it's still a different, just because you both have the shot at the same 50-50 of your parents to have the same bone structure doesn't actually mean. It's like you'll just have mostly the same bone structure.
Yeah, but I mean, with Indiana Jones though, he's like the main central character.
Yeah.
So it'll be.
It's gonna be rough.
Yeah, you'll see him a lot more than
anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully they pick scenes he's not talking a lot, but from the pictures and what people were talking about, they said it was dialogue scenes.
I mean, they're not just gonna cut away from him. That's the whole point of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's his movie.
His name.
Yeah.
His title.
Exactly.
I mean, God, weren't they supposed to? I thought it was going to be a shallower question, actually. It is, and I thought of more stuff for this Indiana Jones. Weren't they supposed to give it to Shia LaBeouf? And was that never the idea? Or it was because, did Shia LaBeouf go crazy after that? I don't remember when Shia LaBeouf had his kind of, I don't even want to say downturn. I don't know. His social outburst period, I guess. I don't know. When he was, under that, a ton of stress. And he had the, I'm not famous. And the... Yeah. I mean, he went... I don't remember exactly when all the stuff did. I know at some point he went to, a therapy and, all the stuff. I don't know when that was. Was that, after Indy?
I didn't even know he was supposed to be a part of Indy.
Well, he was...
Yeah, he was in...
The Crystal Skull.
Yes.
He was in...
So long.
He was in, the beginning and then popped in here and there.
Oh, I kind of remember it now.
Yeah. It was one of the, at the end, the hat, almost went to him. Everyone was like, oh my god, is Shia LaBeouf going to be Indiana Jones? Because he looked good in the part, admittedly.
Yeah.
And, if Shia LaBeouf ever actually did want to do that, I actually wouldn't be that mad if he did it. It was fine with me, but...
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't hear much about it, so...
I saw it. So there's a revive. I'll see where this was. There's crazy expensive trains. And the idea was a new era of luxury and trying to promote train travel across. I think most of them are Europe and Asia. The article I think was for European one. But the train cost around I think it was like $5 million in upgrades for like luxury upgrades on this train. Like it's not that the train itself to make the train run cost $5 million. It was like the upgrades for the luxury standards of this train, of the inner workings of it, were increased by $5 million.
What kind of upgrades?
Everything from seats to like cars that were more private for people to rent out. So it was like almost like there was that one movie where everyone was in a train, like the end of the world, and they had to keep killing the end of cars and stuff. I can't remember the name of it. And there was like really expensive high-end trains at the front, and it's like leather, like not leather seats, even like cushy seats and like big rooms where people are doing like fucking, I don't know, like coke and drugs and there's prostitution or whatever in the movie and stuff. But for this, it's like just really high-end train travel, I guess.
Okay.
And have you guys ever thought, to broaden the question a little bit, have you ever thought of doing train travel in general? Because we do live in a country that is really large, and we were at one point known for our train system. So have you ever thought of doing like the train across the U.S.?
I haven't. I never really. I've only been on a train Amtrak once.
No, I never go really far, so traveling by car is always just the easiest.
I feel like it's
most convenient.
I feel like it's better to do cross-country travel in a car.
Okay.
It's more scenic that way.
Okay.
Like on a train, you only have a set path. Like, just on that set track. You can't go left or right.
Yeah, with cars,
you can take deep tours, back roads, more scenic routes.
You can choose to stop, take a walk around a green area if you want.
Train, you're just constant speed until you get to a stop, to a station.
That's fair. Admittedly, I had thought about it, really like stop and control more, but it did always seem like the train was the more scenic idea. But I guess you would have more control and you could just stop everywhere.
Yeah, with a train it would require a lot more preparation, knowing where it's going to stop, and then
it would be interesting too at this point, since we are comparing to the car. Yeah, what would be more expensive? The gas for the car. It also depends on how many times you stop, obviously, for the car. But yeah, how the gas for the car to do the same trip for the train, like how the cost of the tickets for the train versus the cost of the gas for the car.
Yeah.
And not only that, for the car, you need to make sure you're up on your maintenance. You make sure you get ready for that situation. You get a flat tire, or something else breaks down. You got to find a shop.
Yeah, there's a lot more that can go wrong. With taking a car.
It's more financial,
keep up.
Yeah. For a car.
That's true. I guess you can't just put it on the gas. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting. Because I have thought of doing the train trip, but I think I only thought of doing that because I watched movies like White Christmas or whatever at Christmas time where they take a train.
Polar Express.
Or Polar Express where they take a train. Yeah, I don't know how many times I've taken a train. I don't even know if I've taken a train.
I know we have because we went to a field trip in elementary school.
Yeah.
We went to LA?
Yeah, I think it was LA.
We went to LA for a field trip. I forgot where we went.
It was probably a museum or something.
But we were also in like a little Mexican market.
That's right.
I don't know where we went. I forgot what it was, where it is we went. But that was the only time I've been on the train.
Yeah, I think maybe I've been on one when I was a kid. Other than that, I'm not sure.
I remember going to a field trip when I was in elementary school where we went to the Holocaust Museum.
Oh, jeez, that's pretty heavy for an elementary school field trip.
It was like a museum walkthrough, and we went like the space program, and then at the end we walked out these doors, and there was like a little circular quad thing and like a ramp kind of stairway that went up to the second floor, and the teacher and the host, the museum host person was walking us through was like, okay, so the next we walk through, it is a bit harsher, the Holocaust Museum. If you guys don't know what that is, it was kind of a rough period in American history, and this kind of shines light on what happened during that. And if people aren't uncomfortable with that, it's okay, you can stay out here in the quad. We were a bunch of kids. We didn't know what that was. No one said no. Everyone just walked up to the thing.
You're more curious.
Yeah, exactly. So no one said no. And then everyone just walked up, and they just, like, the first image you see is just, like a corpse pit.
Yeah.
It's just like a bunch of bodies, like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
so this is what people do.
Yeah.
See, like our field trips when we're outdoorsy and
we're
cultural.
more playful, I guess.
Yeah.
Children.
Yeah.
But
That's the only field trip I remember taking other than outdoor ed. It was that museum trip where we ended up with, it ended with the Holocaust Museum.
And we had theme parks with like Wild Rivers.
yeah, Wild Rivers and that one.
Yeah, those were just more gleeful than
We went to the
the
lagoon.
Holocaust.
We went to the lagoon, but I think most of the people in the area did that for,
Yeah.
for our schools. Yeah. So I didn't go to the same school as you. We're in the same area. So
Yeah.
I think most people went to the lagoon. That was probably the happiest. Other than like outdoor ed. Outdoor ed was great. And I loved outdoor education at Camp Nawakwa.
I mean, I suppose yours were more educational, but
Oh, we learned about the world real quick at Alderwood.
yeah.
Alderwood Basics
fast.
Plus taught you how to be an adult. You're a 5-year-old. Here's the Holocaust.
Yeah, that's a bit much.
I mean, yeah, they were nice about it because I do remember them taking us out to the quad to tell you, like, oh, go chill out in the quad if you don't want to be up there. But I was like, looking back, it's like, who the hell would have known what the Holocaust was in like 3rd grade or something? Like, I barely remember what I learned for those first couple grades, other than just the letters and like the numbers for math.
Yeah, multiplication, maybe.
Addition, yeah. No.
I mean, if you guys have any interesting field trips you went on, just comment down below.
Yeah,
Let
that's
us know
true.
what you did.
Yeah, elementary school field trips, they are kind of a local thing, right? Yeah. Wonder if you had any like really localized, or if you think you went to a really weird field trip like I did. Comment below. But yeah. New Nintendo Switch. So yeah, the new Nintendo Switch OLED is an OLED version of Nintendo Switch. I think it'll cost around $500 versus the Nintendo Switch like $250 or $200 one, I think, or something like that. It's like almost double the price. I can't remember exactly the current Switch price right now. But yeah, it's the main difference is an OLED screen.
Yeah,
From what we see.
that's hardly any bigger.
Yeah, and it's very clear, or very specific, very lawyer, or in its wording, where it's the screen has gotten bigger, not the device. So the device is the same size. It's just the screen is stretched by 0.8. 0.08?
0.8.
0.8. It's stretched by 0.8. So the OLED screen is 0.8 inches or whatever bigger than it was before.
Than a standard.
Than a standard Switch.
I believe it was like 6.2 inches versus like 7.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that's exactly right, yeah. We could look all this stuff up, but, in time. But yeah, I think you're right. It was 6.2 is the normal Switch, and the 7 is the current one. And the difference is the OLED screen, which I think is a bit brighter, so I'm guessing whatever, I'm going to say projector. I know screens don't use projectors anymore. Yeah, whatever it does, the display light stuff in the background is a bit better, it's more powerful for the OLED. So that's about it. I don't think there's any real hardware upgrades. It might have a bigger, more space,
I
maybe.
think, they said like more memory or something like that.
Which is great, because if you ever watched a breakdown of like the Switch device, it's actually a decent amount of room you could do to upgrade it. It's like there's some hollowness almost to it, if you really wanted to say.
Yeah. I mean, I think you'll still probably need a micro SD card for all your games, but
For mine, I'd have a new Razer. It had, I think like half a terabyte-ish, maybe 300 gigabytes of memory. And it adds up fast. The current Call of Duty, if you actually want to download everything, it's almost 200 gigabytes.
yeah.
It alone would fill up about half of the space I have for my brand new laptop. And that's one game.
Yeah.
It's like everything needs an external something now.
Yeah, I think on the Switch, when I got Breath of the Wild, I think I had to delete like 3 games.
Yeah, so that's too much. I don't know. We're getting to a weird point. We're like, why are our companies spending so much time upgrading CPUs and graphics cards and other tech, but it's like, I feel like the memory upgrades we get are very slow. Kind of like you're just dredging through a swamp sometimes, where you're kind of...
I think it's because with memory you can easily get
new ones?
external memory.
Yeah.
But
just not enough of a push for it, I guess.
I mean, like a terabyte, I think is around like $80, which isn't too bad.
No, it's good. I mean, it's better than what is the Xbox memory card? Isn't that like $250 or something?
Yeah, something like that. It's crazy.
It's like crazy, yeah. Which I guess is supposed to work directly with the
Yeah, so it should be faster.
Yeah, it's supposed to work faster than it being
for
like
this new Series X.
Yeah, it works directly with the CPU or something. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, it works directly with some of the hardware components in it rather than just adding an external hard drive that it normally pulls from like an external storage device would. So it kind of treats it, I don't want to say exactly like a RAM or something, but close to like a RAM, like an immediate storage device.
Yeah.
So it can pull stuff from it a lot faster. So we have Marvel. Loki just ended for us. Hopefully I can edit the audio for this. We're already almost at 50 minutes. So it'll take me time. But the Loki just ended with, in essence, Sylvie causing the multiverse that either was there this entire time, kind of ish, but not really, like was available but not being allowed, I guess, was just constantly being shut off by the He Who Remains, who was constantly killing all the other multiverses that were forming. So it wasn't like they were in a concrete universe or anything like that. It was just constantly being pruned.
Yeah.
So I mentioned this to Steven the other day, and I came up with Bella, and I was wondering, so this new He Who Remains is a combination of multiple people, just like Marvel likes to do a lot of, where they take combinations of characters that are somewhat similar. This one's supposed to be Kang, and his older alter ego that comes out later, which has a name like Imperius or something like that I can't remember, who helps the Timekeepers and does all this stuff. And I was wondering if there was an idea, because it's very clear it looks like that He Who Remains set up his death. That's right. What it looked like when you're watching it. Because he talked about how like Sylvie can't trust people, and he like poked that button beforehand and like caused the thing. So it seems like that's already like a spoken for. That's what most people kind of agree with. So it was interesting to think that like, what if his idea wasn't necessarily entirely to stop the multiverses, even though he argued like the TVA was needed and like the Tyrant was needed, or like someone worse will fill the void, and all these things. The idea, what he really originally talked about, was it was just him having wars with himself over and over and over again. Which would mean he was really the only one in that universe, or at least the main one, who had the power to do that multiversal actions and kind of bleed into the other universes and try to destroy them, or the other dimensions, timelines, whatever you want to call them, and try and destroy them. And the idea came up was, what if his idea was not to stop the multiverses, but was to pause them to give enough time for other heroes like him to be created over and over again, so that once he dies, and inevitably the evil Kang, who normally would win and take over, but this version of Kang, He Who Remains, used this horrific act to use the Alioth to destroy all these universes. And he was like, I'm not going to be here forever. There's very few of me, a good version of me, that will take Alioth and destroy everyone. Very few. So what if his thought was, what if I held off the multiverses until heroes were made in it, so that when I die and the multiverse starts again, all of those different timelines and multiverses all are packed full of different heroes already. So no matter how many Kangs arise in those timelines, there's already a ton of superheroes in that universe to battle him.
Right, just like different versions of Avengers and Fantastic
So
Four,
even and enough of them. So even if Hawkeye is evil in one timeline, Black Widow isn't, and even if some go evil side and some go bad side or good side, there's enough of them that are on the good side to battle Kang, where it doesn't create, or it contains multi-dimensional wars just within themselves. So there's really just a constant war between good and bad within the dimensions.
Right.
So then it sets up all the allowance that the comic books have.
Yeah.
Where they can jump to different timelines and do whatever they want, but now they have it in the MCU by allowing all that time period for all the heroes to arise in the main timeline, the sacred timeline. And then now that it splits infinitely, all of those splits will always have those main heroes in them.
Right. I mean, that definitely opens up a lot, and that gives you the option to just kind of experiment with it. And I like that theory.
Fan of it. I've been working on it.
I mean, I definitely want to see what other people think about that as well. And what unfolds.
Yeah, maybe we'll make another content video of a quick drawn one or something. Who knows? Maybe we'll mark this out almost like the Rooster Teeth people do for animations. We'll market this out for the content and try and map what we think it'll be, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did like that idea because I didn't understand why else, and I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts at least. Like maybe he's just evil. Like maybe that Kang is just the light evil, and he's like, oh, there's a version of me that's more evil, and I want him to be real or something. But like I don't know what the other reasons would be for him to allow himself to die, because that point where he's like, oh, I don't know what the future holds anymore, and he like drops the thing, and he's like, oh, I don't know what's going on, and it's like, why?
Right.
It's like, so you just stopped writing it? You just stopped like looking into the future or whatever, or however he does it, because they didn't really explain it, kind of. And it's like, why did you stop? Why wouldn't you write it until they took over?
I mean, I was thinking maybe he's setting it up similar to Doctor Strange did, where he saw one out of, what was it, like 4 million possibilities?
Okay, so
and maybe he's setting that up
like an
in a
image
similar
mirror.
way. Yeah.
I can see that. Marvel likes to do that. It looks so tight. You look stressed. You're like, this is intense.
So much going on.
No, I mean, the Loki one. God, I feel bad for Black Widow, man.
Yeah.
They really should have played that so much earlier. I mean, even I was trying to think of things to talk about, but in my little list, the stuff that you guys wanted to read as Marvel : rate movies, top future MCU theories, and Loki. I didn't even have Black Widow in here. It's like it didn't matter.
Yeah, it's not relevant to the future.
Other than I'd want to say that I liked the human nature that they added to copycat villain dude, whatever his name is, Taskmaster.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be this copycat guy. I like that they did the emotional change, but I don't know. Now I feel like Taskmaster's just kind of gone as a character. It's like feels kind of a cool villain to have in the world, like as accessible, to throw into movies.
Right, yeah.
So I didn't like that they just kind of killed it off really fast. And we have the window open. We'll see if we can get stuff like that out. Hopefully people won't hear it anyways. They won't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That'll be the point. I guess since we are looking at future and we're talking about Loki, Marvel is lucky in its ability to bounce from sci-fi to fantasy. Not a lot of things can do that. And it's interesting that it seems like Marvel is the franchise. People were like, what's the next big franchise? They just didn't realize when they were asking that over and over again, it was happening as they were talking about it and asking about it, and it was Marvel.
Yeah.
It was just the Iron Mans. They just didn't know. But it does seem odd, or it puts it in an odd spot, movies and cinematic, where like, what is there room for? Or what do you think movie goers and normal people are hungry for more than if we have this huge kind of weight like an anvil on top of the cinematic world right now that's weighing both heavily on fantasy and sci-fi? Do you think there is room for more of fantasy and sci-fi in it? And do you think people are hungry for more of one or the other? Like, do you think people want more magic and fantasy and Lord of the Rings? Or do you think they want more like future technology and Star Wars and lightsabers and stuff? Like, it seems like we're at this weird area where almost both sides are failing constantly. But the one in the middle, which is Marvel, is like doing really well. Is it's just hammering down, just barely touching on both sides. So we get like the aesthetic, but it's not like the world. It's not a sci-fi world,
Yeah.
So it like, do you think there's still room for a new franchise to kind of come in as a heavyweight in just a sci-fi world or just a fantasy world?
I don't think there's going to be any franchise that's going to keep up with Marvel in the current times. I mean, there's room for singular movies that will be big and whatnot. I mean, you have, you guess you have like Avatar coming out in the future,
right? Oh, the blue people Avatar.
But I still don't think that's going to be as big.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. And the other thing is interesting, like we all watch a lot of YouTube. This will probably end up on YouTube first because I don't know how the podcasts work. There's only so much room in the social discussion, or however you want to call it, like the zeitgeist, whatever everyone is going to talk about at the time. There's only so much room, like when people like everyone from some of the bigger YouTubers that I watch, I guess, like New Cinema or Screen Crush or whatever, and some of these people, it's like they can almost only produce and keep up with a certain amount of videos a week. So then there's only so much content or so many content creators. You might even call them just big content creators, like the movie people, like Warner Brothers and stuff.
Right.
Those are big content creators. That's what we'll discuss them now. They only have so much room to talk about only so many big content creators. And as it gets kind of filtered down, it's like, is there a lot of room, like outside for these YouTubers and kind of streamers and people who talk about movies that people our age constantly watch? Is there even room for them to have enough time to talk about multiple franchises at a time?
Right.
Like right now, there's like some of the things I still watch are still so heavy into one franchise. Like they're still on Harry Potter. Like there's some YouTube channels that still only talk about Harry Potter.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you got each YouTuber going after a certain demographic and a certain niche of content.
Well, I just mean more like even time-wise. Like right now, we're smaller, so we don't have a great view, but right now it might take me a day or two to edit this or something. If I'm good at it and I don't screw it up. Like, it'll take me like a day or two. But, some people when they're putting out more things, so it's like we, on max, we could get out 3-4 videos a week, maybe. And if I was really crunching, maybe more. If we did them all in a day, and I just could go straight to editing all of them at the same time, maybe we could do more, whatever. But it's like some people literally only have a certain amount of time even to do videos a week. And then if like Loki comes out and you have to talk about, oh, there's a Goliath for like the first time in like cinematic history, or like, oh, like the world or like the building that it showed Loki for the episode right before the series finale, and everyone was going crazy and everyone was putting out as many videos as they could. Like they still could only get out 3 or 4 videos before the finale came out when they were trying to put out as many as they could. So that means even some of these big content creators can only get out like 3 videos a week or 4 with their production style and how much has to be edited and
their team.
Yeah, and their team and video editing and stuff too, because they also have video editing attached. So it's like, is it even possible, like right now, if Marvel was going and Harry Potter was going at the same time right now, and Star Wars, it's like, would people even be able to cross franchises, or would people just grind down and do a franchise?
I don't know.
Because those are 3 sustained franchises that people love. And it's like, if all 3 hit at the same time, I wonder, what do you guys think would even happen? Would some just die? Like, would just one be the success one? Or would people just grind down and all their numbers would decrease?
Well, I don't know, because I don't know too much on the back end of these content creators and their teams and whatnot. With how much work it takes for them. You got some YouTubers that have a dedicated research team. Yeah. And
my dream to have a dedicated research team.
What do you want?
I have no idea.
Carl's not talkative today. Should have had another beer like I did.
Should have.
It's never too late. We pause the video right here, and then Bardo drinks another 10 beers, and we're fine.
Need another hoe. Another whole garden.
You can go grab one if you want, okay. That's fine. Some of the other things, because we are getting pretty late. There we are. Yeah, about the hour actually. Some of the other topics that I randomly thought of decreasing, even though there's the Delta variant going around, people should figure that out, I guess. It's a period of expansion again, where COVID is slowly decreasing. So it's like, what is an area or a culture that you really wanted to travel to? Since everyone is trying to take this time now after COVID, where people can actually travel to go see, like, in vacation in a country they always wanted to. So there's a country, maybe other than, like, where your family is from, because I'm sure everyone always normally wants to go back to where they're from, that you wanted to go see and visit and learn about.
Well, I've always wanted to go to other Eastern Asian countries like Japan, China, and just experience the culture there. I've seen, all I can do right now is, watch videos of what they have over there, and all of it looks pretty fun and cool. Like Japan, I want to see the cherry blossoms. It's also always a scenic view that I've always wanted to see. Other places in Europe too. I mean, basically anywhere, really. I haven't been out of the States or even the country much, or at all.
Yeah, I feel it. I've only been out of the state once in
Yeah.
my life. And that was to Hawaii for like a week.
Yeah, I want to go to Germany.
Is this where you find out you're like an alt-right member or something?
No, I don't want to go to Germany because I don't know, their culture is a little different, obviously.
There's Oktoberfest.
And Oktoberfest, I always wanted to go do that. I wanted their German beer. I heard their beer is delicious. And also want to drive on the autobahn, where you have the speed limit is the limit of your car.
Yeah, it's technically, the limit of the person in front of you.
Yeah. Well, you know.
If you're the person in front, you know, then
They better keep moving.
Like, fucking keep moving.
Yeah, that's fair. I still only had one friend that went to Germany, although she really liked it. But I don't know. I mean, Europe is an easy one to go to, because it's like I do really like architecture, and Europe has a lot of it. I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I wouldn't mind France, but I feel like I'd really end up going Africa or something weird. I'd rather go to a place that people know less about, that I might find something interesting.
yeah,
I guess.
Somewhere you can kind of explore without.
A little bit. Which is weird, because I'm still relearning French. I mean, there are French parts, because France colonized parts of Africa. There are parts that do speak French, but yeah, I don't know. I think it would be interesting, to kind of have stuff and food that people don't know much about. I think for a lot of it, for me, it's food.
Yeah.
I think I know a lot about food. I mean, admittedly, I don't know a lot about German food. I feel like I know a lot of the stereotyped version of food, or bratwurst, and that's about it, beer. So there would still be a lot to learn in Europe about food. But I feel like I don't even have a stereotyped image for food in African areas. I have some spices and ingredients that I've bought over years, but I don't know a traditional dish. Yeah, or how I'm supposed to use that ingredient necessarily. I have ways I use it that I like to use it, but I don't know if traditionally that would be okay necessarily. But it's a great item or ingredient. There's some things that just grow there that are now grown in a lot of places, and people really like a sumac. A sumac, which is just a berry that's ground up and dried that is lemony. It's super tangy.
Right.
But you can use a spice, and it's almost like a ground up berry lemon. It's great, and you can use it on fish and stuff. It's phenomenal. I don't know how you're supposed to use it.
Yeah. Cuisine is always a big thing in traveling too.
I feel like I was talking to Bella, and it was I don't see. There's some countries that I don't always see a point to travel to food wise. And it becomes like the U.S. would probably be one of them. There's not a lot in the U.S. that you have to come to the U.S. to actually try.
Yeah.
People would be like, well, we have Southern barbecue. And you'd be like, yeah, but the problem is you use cherry wood and other ingredients and things that are actually in other parts of the world semi-naturally. There's woods that are close range to that, and people have been barbecuing food since as far back as humans have been cooking, thousands of years.
Right.
So it's even barbecue, smoked meats aren't even really a U.S. thing. They've just made it a thing. So it's some countries necessarily don't even have a highlight to me to go to. And I think one of the problems for that is growing up in the U.S., because you use the U.S. and you're like, yeah, why would anyone come to the U.S.?
Right, there's nothing super distinctive.
Yeah.
There's nothing original.
Yeah, well, it's there might be original stuff, and there's some ingredients that are here, but yeah, it just seemed because cultures didn't form here, they kind of overlapped here. It's not there's a dish here, there's not a dish that I really want to have here, because the dishes that we have here made here are overlaps of culture, not a culture that was created with the food that's indigenous in the area or something.
Yeah.
It's very hard to find that. You have to look at Native American or Hispanic cultures for the southern side, for, I mean, that's most of it.
Yeah.
To be fair, actually, that's pretty much all of it. And it's when you do that, even that kind of history is kind of taken down. So I don't know. Yeah, some of the food things, it can be hard sometimes to pick a place to travel for me based on, I want a really vibrant food history. And an untapped one is even better. I think that's kind of why I like the idea of going to different parts of Africa. Is it's not just how deep or how long food history has been in those areas, because humans have just been in there for kind of the longest, since like humans basically came from the northeast part of Africa just about. So they have the longest food history other than basically China, and it's just untapped. It's like people don't even know half the ingredients that are there. It seems like we know it. You know, people always say for the ocean that we know like 10% of the ocean or whatever, and it's like it feels like we know 10% of the plants in Africa.
Yeah.
So it's like that just really interests me. It's like I like that idea of being able to grow a lot of plants and having my alien garden from plants all over the world. And I think Africa is a good place to start.
See, I'm kind of on a different spectrum when it comes to cuisine, where I want to try stuff that we have here, but is native to other countries.
Oh, to see like how it's really supposed to be done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, that's fair. We are a conglomerate of every culture. We have tried a lot here. It's just we've tried a lot of shitty versions of a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to try some, like, you know, I mean, I feel like the ramen we have here is pretty
Okay.
good.
Yeah, we're
I
starting.
want to try more native to, say, Japan
Yeah.
and whatnot.
When the flavors they cater to are just different, right? It's like
Yeah.
like you in some of the stuff that I watch, people talk about all the time of like, oh, you know, like I'm a chef from the Sichuanese province of China, so of course I can cook a ton of food, but I'm in the U.S. now, in Texas, with a bunch of white people, so I'm gonna cook the orange chicken and the broccoli beef dishes because that's what sells here.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna cook you like the dry leaf, like the dry lotus root, like cut up
Right.
and stuff. It's delicious. Like
More
lotus,
Americanized version.
yeah, like lotus root is one of the most amazing things that people have never had. It's like it's not even that flavorful. It's just so easy to work with. But it's like because it looks weird, even a lot of Asian restaurants in the US won't use it just because it's a vegetable that most people don't know what it is.
Yeah, and you see a lot of people that are pretty picky about taste and flavors, and they don't try to venture out to
Yeah,
all these other.
we know many of them.
Yeah. You know, the
Right.
kind that just gets chicken tenders and fries.
All right. Well, I need another beer, and I think Cora does as well. So I think we'll end it there.
If there's anything you'd like us to do differently, or things you'd like to see changed, or even topics you want us to talk about, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening.
All right.